Hello, YouTube. Welcome back to the official Hocus Poker trading card game channel. It's a game that I made, and this is a part two in a series where I talk about the different design philosophies and design elements that went into crafting Slothful cards. Uh, First off, I'd like to mention the Slothful symbol, which you can find on all the cards here. Here on the card. This was the symbol for Aquarius, because Aquarius was just it's just two squiggles. It's like one on top and then one on bottom. I just connected the squiggles to make them look like three Z's, like like when like a cartoon character is sleeping, you'll see the Z's. Yeah, so Slothful cards were honestly one of the easiest sins for me to come up with effects for, because it's like they're slothful, they slow things down. It made sense to make them like like really good like control cards, because like you need control aspects in any trading card game, I think, because a lot of people, that's a really fun way to play, yeah, these cards are the ones that like do most of like the negating of card effects. The wet blanket is going to be a staple card in all decks, probably, because it's just it's like if your opponent raises, no they didn't, because it's like it's like you gotta throw three coins into the pot, but like that's probably a good gamble, because it's like your opponent just threw coins in the pot to play their card, but now you've just negated that. So that's it's pretty good. It's the wet blanket. Look at it, and yeah, I think that's some really cute artwork. But yeah, I'm doing I meant to do these more frequently, but yeah, just been dragging my feet, so I was a procrastinator. Yeah. This card, he's kind of like Naruto, except the headband, instead of the Konoha symbol, it's the Slothful symbol. I didn't actually intend for this to be Naruto to begin with. It just kind of happened when I was drawing it. I was just like, cause like he had like a headband, and I was just like, let's spice that up a little bit. I'm a hack. Oh boy. The snoozing alarm clock. This is one of my favorite arts. I think he's really goofy. He's got a fun effect where like if your opponent flips the card, you can negate the flip. So it's like it negates the effect, but it doesn't muck it. It just like puts it like face down again, and they can't use it for the rest of the round, which would be pretty cool, because it's like it's like you have the information, so it's like now you know what your opponent has face down. So that's pretty good. Might also be a staple, because that's pretty good effect. Let's see. Yes. But with Slothful, I wanted them to like have like different aspects of control, like the tapeworm here. This card, it limits the amount of cards an opponent can have. So like for instance, with this, like you throw tapeworm into an opponent's hand, and then for a couple of rounds, including this card, they can what is it? Oh yeah, their hand amount becomes 4. I can't remember my own effects, but their hand amount becomes 4 when normally you really just have like a limitless. You can have as many cards in your hand as you want, really. But yeah, this would this forces your opponent to get rid of some cards that they might really want. So it's like that's one way to control it. Koala tea time. That's a pun. This will keep it's like this. It's like this will keep all the players like summons in play for the next round. It's like normally they'd be mucked at the end of the round, and you would pick a new summon, but these keep them around. So like say if you won a round, like if your summon was like way stronger than everyone else's, you could flip this or like if you're gonna win, you can flip this before you take the pot, uh, and then you can just you keep everyone's summon in. So it's like, oh, it's like you won last round. It's like, well, you're definitely gonna win the next round unless someone has a raise up their sleeve or something. Uh, let's see here. The poorly drawn knight. I figured he had slothful energy because like the joke is, this is a piece of art that's come to life, but the artist that drew it, didn't put much work into it. This was one of the very first cards I ever thought of for the game. In fact, before I ever had Hocus Poker, the rules, or anything, I knew I wanted to have a card that was called the Poorly Drawn Knight just because it's just my sense of humor. I just think that's so funny that you might have like a trading card game where it's like just the card just is just drawn poorly and like it's supposed to fit with the theme or whatever. I don't know. Let's see. We got a Argyle Gargoyle. This has a control effect with your opponent's mucks. So like you can so like when this card would be mucked, it doesn't go to your muck. You put it on top of an opponent's muck, and then they can't use any cards underneath it. So it's like, it's like wrathful cards have some effects that go off in the graveyard or muck, not graveyard. This isn't Yu-Gi-Oh. In the muck, or with like like if your opponent like wants to like interact with cards in their muck, they can't do it. Like it's a card like Death Metal Orpheus lets you raise from your muck, but this card would make it so your opponent can't raise any card underneath it. So it's like that could be pretty good for lockdowns. This card was originally Envious, but like with that effect. But like the more I went along with like designing the game mechanics, I figured like he was going to be envious for lore reasons. The Argyle Gargoyle, he was going to be envious for lore reasons, but I figured that effect was way better suited to a Slothful card, so now his lore is a little bit different. But let's see. Oh yeah, another aspect is forcing a draw, because with a draw, it's like nobody takes the pot, so it's like everything that each player bet is still in the pot, except nobody won it, so it's like you have to just make a bigger pot, and like maybe you were already losing. It's just it's like this would just be like a card like if you're winning to like really like try and like cement your win, because like if you can force a draw, that could have some utility. This card, the Grumpy Mandrake, this card, it only goes off after it's been interacted with. Which that's a kind of a slothful thing to do. It's like it's not a proactive card; it's reactive. I figured that worked. Like it only, like it'll stay face down in like a raised spot for a while, and then if somebody interacts with it, then it goes off. It's it's face down. It's sleeping, basically. I'd like to experiment a little bit more with that. I think with like that kind of mechanic, but yeah. We're just figuring out some stuff, and let's see here. All right, the last thing I want to talk about in this video. Get away from me, fly! What are you doing? Oh boy. Anyway, the last thing I'd like to talk about for Slothful cards is the familiar. All right, so the familiar spirit for Slothful cards right now is the Roadblock Bloke. Obviously heavily inspired by Snorlax. This is Snorlax if Snorlax looked like a stop sign, basically. Stop signs are red and they have the white outline, but yeah, I figured this guy, like his, like, it's like Slothful cards are like really good at like trying to stop raises, trying to stop your opponent from like like gaining any sort of advantage. Their control strategy. So it would be a good idea for the familiar spirit to like really, really represent that. Like that's why it's got such a high bet. But yeah, it's like at the start of each round you can flip a coin. It's like if you call it right, your opponents cannot raise. which means it pretty much just comes like it can come down to like either brute strength or like you can raise. So like if you're losing, like you can raise and just beat out your opponents. The only thing is though, like if your opponents can't raise, yeah, you're winning, but you're not winning. Uh, all that many soul coins. You're only taking what they bet on their summon, not like what they did with their raises. But at the same time, it's a slower way to win. But that's slothful cards for you. Yeah, you just control the board, say no to your opponents, and just get just interrupt them and just get in their path. Just slow the game down. Make the game go at your pace. You know, that is exactly what slothful cards are, and that's how I came up with the effects for them, and that's why I allocated them to the slothful cards. And one last useless fact before I go. I made slothful cards blue because there's like some ideas that like when I was like learning about the seven sins and stuff. I came across like some people like had the idea that like maybe people who were like depressed were accused of sloth. Like people who were depressed because like when you're depressed, and I've been depressed before. It's like when you're depressed or like you have depression, it can be really hard to want to do anything. It can be really hard to move, to even get out of bed. And it's like in societies that like really value work and working and whatnot, it's like that could be seen as like a real bad thing. It's like, what do you mean you don't want to get up and work 12 hours in the field? What do you mean you're sad? Come on, man, get up. It's like when there's like like you guys have probably heard the expression like when you're sad you're blue. So it's like you're blue. And blue's a fairly chill color, I think. Blue's fairly chill, honestly. Blue's associated with water and ice. Very chill. Kind of go with the flowy. Blue in Magic: The Gathering. Really good at control strategies. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And hey, yeah, have a good day.